Hello students, welcome to English Literature for Class 7. All of you take Mulberry course book. We will be doing Chapter 7, The Shapers. This is an extract taken from National Geographic magazine. It's written by T.R. Reid. He's an experienced journalist. If you remember, there were two people who were the first ones to climb Mount Everest, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Sherpa. Edmund Hillary from New Zealand and Tenzing Sherpa is a Nepali. Both of them scaled the Mount Everest on May 29, 1953. This is a story about the life of Sherpa, how they lived their life under the Himalayas. Shall we read? For some strange reason, my vivid stories about walking 5 miles through the snow to get to school never seemed to impress my children. So from now on, I am going to tell them instead about Lakpa Sherpa, a student at the high school that Sir Edmund Hillary founded in Kumchung, Nepal. Lakpa hoped to go to college and become a doctor. To ensure that he got there, the 16-year-old would walk 5 hours to school on stony mountain trails each week. In monsoon, I walk in the rain. In winter, I walk in the snow. It's always hard. But then, with the Sherpa's skill for finding the bright side, he would add, going back home is downhill, so it takes only 3 hours. This paragraph tells us the speaker walks to school every day. Here we can see his attitude towards his daily walk. He tries to look at it positively. He has the dream to go to school and to become a doctor. This dream gives him the strength to carry on walking. Let's continue the next paragraph. Life would have been much easier if there were a yellow bus to take Lakpa back and forth. But the fundamental fact of life for the Sherpas, an ethnic group of Buddhists living in the northeastern Nepal, is that there is no bus, no car, no bicycle, and not an inch of paved road within the 425 square miles that make up the Khumbu Valley, the Sherpas' traditional home beneath the Mount Everest. The Sherpas in Khumbu go everywhere on foot with their property on their backs or their yaks' backs. This paragraph tells us about the life of people in Khumbu Valley. They struggle a lot. There is no paved road, no cycle, no buses, no cars in this region. So people have to go everywhere on foot and carry their goods on their backs. Next paragraph. If after arriving at the tiny airstrip in the nearby village of Lukla, you ask a Sherpa how far it is to the mountain monastery at Tembuchi, the answer is given not in distance, it's 14 miles, or in altitude, it's 3,300 feet higher, but rather in time, Tembuchi, you will get there on the fourth day. It takes most other people 2 days to trek to the nearby market town of Namchi Bazaar and about 6 more days to get to the Everest base camp. Shepa family in Kumbu wants to build a new house. Much of the structure from floorboards to corrugated aluminum roofs must be carried from the lowlands up the rugged trails on somebody's back. Here we get the idea how they measured their distance. Distance is measured in terms of the time taken in Kumbu because the Sherpas go everywhere on foot. They have no way of measuring the distance except in terms of the time taken to get to the destination.
Now we are in page number 97. Let's read. But if walking is the Sherpa's fate, it has also been their fortune. The first ascent of Mount Everest 50 years ago sparked a tourism boom that draws more than 20,000 visitors each year to hike amid the planet's tallest peaks. Strong, congenial, and adept at business, the Sherpas play a role in the tourist trade that is rivaled by few indigenous people in the world. They serve not only as high altitude porters for the mountaineers but also as guides for the large number of trekkers who explore the region by hiking at altitudes under 18,000 feet without any technical equipment. The Sherpas own most of the lodges and hotels and many of the trekking companies, playing out their lives on the world's highest stage, winning friends with their warm smile and calm competence. The mountain climbing Sherpas have become quite famous. In these paragraphs, we can see their main sources of the income, that is, tourism, with more than 20,000 hikers visiting the region, and the Sherpas serve not only as higher altitude porters but also they served as a guides for the larger number of trekkers who explore the region. Let's continue the reading. Some scientists believe that the Sherpas may be blessed with genetic features that help them thrive 2 miles or more above sea level. Their lifelong adaptation to low oxygen conditions make it easier for them to survive in the thin Himalayan air. They breathe faster and thus can take in more air per minute than lowlanders. On account of their reputation as climbers, the Sherpas are the best known of the 30 or so groups that make up the Nepalese population. The word Sherpa is so familiar that it has become a generic term for a porter or a guide. Almost every Sherpa in the trekking business has a story about a client who turned to him and asked, "How long have you been a Sherpa?" And Sherpa isn't just an ethnic identification like other minority groups in Nepal. The Sherpas often use their ethnic name as their last name as well. In this paragraph, we can see few qualities of the Sherpas. That is, the Sherpas are strong, congenial, and skilled at business. Despite working in difficult conditions, they have warm smile and a calm countenance. They have genetic features that help them to survive in the low oxygen conditions of the Himalayas. Now we are in page number 98. Most of the 70,000 or so Sherpas in Nepal aren't involved in the climbing or trekking industries. It's mainly in the Khumbu region that tourism has transformed the Sherpas' lives in a generation. Tourism has made the Sherpas of Khumbu rich. My friend Nimanuru Sherpa is one of the thousands of Sherpa success stories. When he was born on a tiny Khumbu farm 8 years before the first ascent of Everest, his family grew potatoes like everybody else. You know, raising potatoes is hard work, Such a hard work and you don't make much money, Nima would say. But by the time he was a teenager in the late 1960s, getting into the mountaineering business was every Sherpa boy's dream. I was a potter. I carried 22 kilos all the way to Camp Second on Everest. That's 22,000 feet without oxygen. I was a hotel waiter. I was a cook. I did everything. Tireless, bright, and quick to pick up languages. Nima became a trekking guide with the knowledge of English, German, and Japanese. He saved his earnings and rented a house about 200 yards from the airstrip at Lukla, which in 1993 he turned into a successful hotel and restaurant. With a fairly reliable income from the lodge, Nima took the next step on the career path of the upwardly mobile Sherpa. Last autumn, he set up the trekking company of his own in Kathmandu, 125 miles from Kumbu. These paragraphs talks about the successful stories of Nima Sherpa's life. Here, Nima is referred to as upwardly mobile as he was the owner of a trekking company. He came from a family that grew potatoes for a living. He started out as a potter, went on to become a trekking guide, then opened a lodge and finally set up a trekking company. He achieved this through intelligence, persistence, and hard work. Next paragraphs. Three decisive innovations made the Sherpas what they are today, says Angrita. The British travelers brought potato plants to the Himalayas in the 19th century, and the Sherpas recognized that this could be a staple crop for the Khumbu climate. In the 20th century, the introduction of iodine wiped out goiter and made an important improvement in public health. And the mountaineers who wanted to climb the high peaks gave us the foundation of the tourist economy that has produced more wealth than agriculture or trading ever did. The Sherpas began migrating to Darjeeling, India, more than 100 miles east of Khumbu in the 19th century. When the first British mountaineering expeditions headed to Mount Everest in the early 20th century, traveling from northeast India through Tibet because Nepal was closed to foreigners until 1949. They hired strong young Sherpas in Darjeeling to be potters. In these paragraphs, we can see the three innovations transformed the Sherpas' lives. That is, the Britishers bringing potatoes to the Himalayas in the 19th century, the introduction of iodine in the 20th century, and the mountaineers wanting to climb the high peaks and thus giving the foundation of the tourist economy. Now we are in page number 99. Let's read. A Sherpa contingent became essential for every climbing expedition when the British expedition of 1953 became the first to reach the roof of the world. The final assault team comprised one New Zealand climber, Edmund Hillary, and one Sherpa, Tenzing Norgay. The conquest of the majestic Mount Everest caught the imagination of the world, bringing an unprecedented number of climbers to Khumbu each spring and fall. It also brought the Sherpas a generous and untiring benefactor in the person of Hilary. To speed up the construction of the hospital in the village of Kunde, Hillary oversaw the construction of the airstrip on a dramatic mountain side in Lukla, a runway that has had the unintended result of fueling the massive tourist trade. Quickly, each of Khumbu's 25,000-foot plus peaks was climbed, with the Sherpas playing a central role in the expeditions. Even more crucial to the Khumbu economy was the development of the trekking industry, in which the Sherpas led tourists on week-long hikes. Only 10,000 or so Sherpas remain in Solo Khumbu. The rest have scattered to towns and villages across northeastern Nepal and India. Thousands now live in Kathmandu, where most of the Nepal's trekking and climbing agencies are headquartered. Further afield, there's the Sherpa Rock Band in New York City, the Sherpa Restaurant in Tokyo's Shibuya district, and Sherpa hiking guides in mountain resort areas all over the world. In this paragraph, we can see Sir Edmund Hillary was responsible for constructing a hospital in the village of Kunde. He also helped construct an airstrip to speed up the construction of the hospital. The airstrip brought a massive tourist trade to the region. Let's continue the reading. In Khumbu, the old ways still persist in many aspects of Sherpa's daily life. Their washing machine is the rushing river. Their dryer is the sun. The kids use round pebbles as marbles and play catch with the potatoes. With the rock and branches, Sherpa farmers construct diversion channels beside mountain streams to drive the water wheels that grind their grain into flour. The same streams are used to spin the prayer wheels that dot the Sherpa country. In Khumbu, our traditions are maintained, Angrita says. On the steep rock-strewn mountain trails of the Sherpa land, new mothers still walk with the farmers, yak herders, mail carriers, great grandmothers, and exhausted, sweating porters bent low under the weight of cargo on their backs. In this paragraph, we can see how the Sherpa's daily life. In Khumbu, Sherpas still wash clothes in the running river and dry them in the sun. The Sherpa farmers construct diversion channels to drive the water wheels that grind their grain into flour. Now we are in the last paragraph. The Sherpas have brought all manner of innovations up to the mountain trails. So why is there no room in Khumbu for the automobile or the roads that it could drive on? I posed that question to almost every Sherpa I met. The consensus view is that roadlessness is an essential element of the Sherpa condition. If we rode a bus in Khumbu, would we still feel the steepness of our mountains? Asked Nimanuro Sherpa. Would we still hear the waterfalls coming down our cliff? Would we stop and say a prayer when we passed a money stone? In this paragraph, we can see the general view among Sherpas is that roadlessness is an essential element of the Sherpa condition. Roads will bring automobiles to the region, affecting the principal occupation of the Sherpas. They also feel that the roads will disrupt the environment and the beauty of the hills. Dear children, I hope you understood this lesson. Now read the chapter 2-3 times, then you will understand the story of the Sherpas. Thank you. Have a nice day.